Along the way, we were propagated into believing that silent majority was some sort of noble thing. We were propagated to believe that political correctness was noble, that self-censorship was the way that we should operate because we don't want to offend anybody. And they've conditioned our population to operate this way. And in doing so, it's prevented the truth and the actual people from standing up and saying, hey, I don't agree with that. That is not what I want. That is not what I believe in. And they don't do it because for 20 years, we've been living this propaganda cultural conditioning called political correctness and then followed up by the silent majority. Mm-hmm. The time is over for silence. The time is over for political correctness. The time is now for facts and data and actual analysis and the truth.
Now we're seeing articles and headlines. All these things are popping up now. It's looking like it's going to be like it looks like the government's going to shut down. Everybody's pretty much in agreement. You got articles, trying to already tell people what's going to happen and who's going to be affected from the military, federal employees, national park, public spaces, airports, things like that. But hey, food stamps will still run, so that's good. The IRS. That's not going to shut down, right? That's good. But here's the thing, though, guys. Guess what's not going to be affected?
Ukraine.
Oh, man, Ukraine's going to be just fine. This headline reads, Pentagon exempts Ukraine operations from potential government shutdown. The decision means that training on American tactics and equipment can move forward uninterrupted if lawmakers don't reach a funding deal by the end of the month. Yeah, they'll be just fine. And you know what else is going to be just fine in Ukraine? All of their first responders, they're funding fashion stores, their schools, and their farms. They're all going to be just fine, even though our government will be shut down. Over 57,000 first responders. They're going to keep their jobs. They're going to keep their pay. They're going to keep working and not going to have any issues. Andy, what do we got on this?
I don't know how any American citizen can be okay with your hard-earned tax dollars being used to support something in Europe that nobody has any connection to personally in this country. I don't think that, if I'm being honest, I don't understand how there hasn't already been a revolution here.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I really don't. It's because people don't understand the financial oppression that we've been subjected to.
Well, we're in survival mode.
They don't understand it, dude. Yes,
Yeah.
they're in survival mode. So they can't really grasp what's happening. You have a president who has intentionally done all these things that have damaged our country. And you can say, oh, well, it's not intentional. Okay, well, if you were going to intentionally destroy the country from the inside, what would you be doing differently?
Right.
All right. So you have a guy who has come into office, who has taken, every single step possible to make things harder on the American people. He shut down the strategic pipelines. He just finished the other one off in Alaska like 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. Now gas is going back up, right? Which means that transport's going up, which means that cost of goods are going up. He has, opened the border. So we have all these migrants here that need to go back where they came from. We could go on and on and on down the list. He's sending all of our money to Ukraine. We're letting all this crime happen in the cities, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the American people are still working and they can't afford to eat. They can't afford to pay their bills. Credit card debt is at an all-time high. Credit card default is at an all-time high. And this has been going on for decades. The real problem with the real system, which is the fact that 50% plus of our income is squandered by 600 people in Washington, D.C., while we all are out here trying to just, get our piece of the American dream. They've intentionally removed the American dream from the palette of possibilities for us by creating it a situation where it's almost impossible to survive for the middle class, right? And that's part of what we've been talking about for many years on this show, which is to have communism, you have to have two classes. You have a very rich elite class, and then you have a peasant class. And so everything that they've been trying to do, and this includes these big financial institutions, these big fund managements, who have been buying up all the residential real estate, right? Like, they're intentionally making it impossible to be a middle-class American, right? And while they're doing this, they're sending all of your money to Ukraine. And a lot of you guys are still thinking it's okay to vote for this shit. You're still identified with a quote-unquote, I'm a Democrat, or I'm a this, or I'm a that. Bro, what you are is a fucking idiot, okay? Because we are fucking slaves in this country. We are people who work very hard, and our money is sent to all these different places and then stolen by the people that we elect to look after this country. And it's infuriating. You know, like when I see this fucking twerp Zelensky in Washington, D.C. in our Congress giving a speech, you know, like he did a while back, and then come here again and ask to address Congress. Like, dude, you don't get it, bro. Like, we ain't with you. And in fact, there's a whole bunch of people here that would cut your fucking head off if they had a chance.
Did you see all the videos of like when they're leaving the hotels and you getting fucking like yelled at and shit?
In Canada too.
Yeah, in Canada.
Yeah, people hate them. And because they recognize what's happening. And our country's being destroyed for no other reason than people won't speak up.
Yeah.
And people won't stand up. And they'll continue to not have uncomfortable conversations. Like, that's it. Like, how is anybody okay with them being taxed the way that we're taxed, with the prices the way that they are, with America being in the condition that it's in, that we're sending $1 of aid to anyone, to anyone.
Let alone this fucking high heel dancing dude.
Bro, I can't stand it. And the people, you guys who continue to support it, you're traitors to this country. You just don't know it. You're on the wrong side. They tell you, oh, Russia will continue to invade and conquer, and they'll eventually come here. You guys are fucking idiots. You're called you useful idiots in the communism playbook for a reason. And if you're still supporting this shit, and you still have a Ukrainian flag, and you're still saying, oh, you pro-Ukraine and all this shit, you need to take a step back, bro. Because what you're doing is you're destroying. Eventually, you will have been seen just as the SS was seen in 1930s and 40s Germany. You are that. These people who blindlessly go along with all these narratives, they point the fingers at people like me and you and say that we're those people. No, they're those people. And they don't know it yet.
They're going to find out.
Yeah.
That's real shit. Guys, jump in on this conversation. Let us know down in the comments what you guys think. Hashtag the show must go on. And let us know what you guys think, man.
Yeah, I think it's funny how all these people like they say, well, you're a nationalist. No shit, bitch. I love this country. You know what I'm saying?
That's real shit,
this is a great place. This is an amazing country. It's our country. And we're taking all of our resources and we're ruining everything that's always been great about this country. And people say, well, you're just a nationalist.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Got me. Well, that's the thing, dude. Like the preservation of this country has never been left up to the government, right? The preservation of this country, the pride, the identity, it's always been left up to the people. Like, that was the original goal of this country, was the people have the power. And they've been able to manipulate us through technology, through narratives, through propaganda to make us think differently. And that's not the case. It never has been the case. It never will be the case unless we fall into that trap of believing that. You know, like, listen.
I don't understand why people are tolerating it, dude.
Well, I mean, again, that's the dangerous part, right? Like, when
I think a lot of
people in a survival mode, it makes it very, very easy to control what it is they're focused on.
Yeah, I think that people are waiting. I think, if I'm feeling this out right, I think people are just waiting for whatever the thing to happen is to happen.
Yeah.
And I think whenever that thing happens, these people are all going to be like literally exterminated.
Yeah.
Because the overwhelming response is going to be extremely fucking violent and extremely fast, and it's extremely dangerous what they're doing.
Yeah.
This is why people have to realize that your fellow citizen is not the problem. It's these people in this government who continue to do this crazy shit to all of us while they steal our money and send it over to places that end up funneling it back to them. That's what's happening.
Absolutely.
What's happening is they're sending it to Ukraine. How do you guys know what they're spending it on Ukraine? How do you when they send a company in Ukraine $10 million, how much of that do they actually get? And how much of that comes back to these politicians or companies that they're invested in or, political contributions? Like, people don't understand what's happening.
Yep.
Your money is being stolen by the people that you elected to manage this country. And they are using that money to oppress you and take more and more and more from you. That's what's happening. And people do not understand it because they're so busy trying to survive, they can't follow the actual narrative of what's really happening.
Yeah.
It's a vicious cycle that we need to get out of, and it's going to take people taking a step back and questioning what is actually going on here, and then having a voice and having courage to stand up and speak up against what is going on, no matter what. Along the way, we were propagated into believing that silent majority was some sort of noble thing. We were propagated to believe that political correctness was noble, that self-censorship was the way that we should operate because we don't want to offend anybody. And they've conditioned our population to operate this way. And in doing so, it's prevented the truth and the actual people from standing up and saying, hey, I don't agree with that. That is not what I want. That is not what I believe in. And they don't do it because for 20 years, we've been living this propaganda cultural conditioning called political correctness, and then followed up by the silent majority. Mm-hmm. The time is over for silence. The time is over for political correctness. The time is now for facts and data and actual analysis and the truth. That's what needs to be talked about, and that's what needs to be said. And that's going to be uncomfortable for people because for 15 years, they haven't been able to talk about it. Well, the time is now to talk about it, and we don't talk about it now, and we don't stand on it now, and we don't speak the truth now, we will never have the opportunity to do so ever again.